Hello, everybody. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the one and only show on the internet where we talk about things like a movies, a television, a Song of Ice and Fire, a Star Wars, a Dragons, a Space Laders, and all of you who watch us. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Martha. Hello, Christian. Good to see everybody in the chat. Hello, Dan. I'm Dan Selcke. I run winterscoming.net. And Daniel Rowan, you also run winterscoming.net. How are you this fine Wednesday afternoon up there in New Wave, York?
I'm okay. I I'm a little frazzled. I've been dealing with some stuff. So I've been pulled in a bunch of different directions today, but I am excited to be here to talk about nerdy things, to talk about chairs, which I'm just going to dream about because that sounds wonderful to me. And yeah, how are you, Dan? What's new in your life?
Have you warmed up for the latest
episode?
The morning I had this morning. No, things are good, but it's really quick. So this morning, everybody, I just want to share my pain with you. I biked into the office, the fan-sided office, biked all the way in there, got there, realized that I just didn't have my key, which is on my keychain, just is gone. The key's just gone. So I had to bike all the way back, find that the key fell off in the wash somehow. It's been sitting there the entire time. 12 miles round trip. Very annoyed. Lost an hour of work. Ugh, the morning I had. I tell you what, the morning I had. But the afternoon has been very, very pleasant. But the morning I had, let me tell you.
Good.
Daniel, you mentioned chairs, and we want to kick off today's show with a very special, exciting offer for all of you out there watching Internet Land. This Friday, we are giving away a Secret Lab Titan Evo House of the Dragon gaming chair from gaming chair company Secret Lab. That is what it looks like. The fire is not included. You got the cushy back. You've got an attachable pillow. You've got wheels that roll around. You have pretty kind of black flower. I don't know what the word is. Emblazons on the wings of the chair there. They sent us this chair. I was able to put it together in the office. I couldn't get into after the morning I had. So it's easy to put together. And we are going to be giving one of these away. We're going to be giving away a House of the Dragon gaming chair from Secret Lab this Friday. Keep an eye on our Twitter to enter. Daniel, would you like to be the proud owner of a House of the Dragon Secret Lab Titan Evo 2022 gaming chair?
I mean, I would. If I didn't already work for this company, I'd be all over that, retweeting, subscribing, doing all the other things to get entries. But as it is, I'll probably have to keep an eye out for sale prices because that looks like a pretty nice chair. And Secret Labs,
it's like a $500 value.
Yes, it is. Yeah, no, those chairs they're awesome. So I have not seen this one because I am not located in Chicago where the office is, but I have seen before this House of the Dragon one, they had a Lannister one, they had a Targaryen and a Stark one. I have seen the Lannister one. It's pretty nice. They make some pretty good chairs. And the person I know who has the Lannister chair sits in it a lot. So it's good on your tush, is what I hear.
Yeah, and we are going to give it away. If I was in the office, I could actually show the chair to you guys. After the morning I had, it wasn't really an option.
Dropping the ball. We're gonna blame the wash cycle.
No, and Cassandra asks, yes, the contest is going to be US only. So I'm sorry for people who are in other areas, but it is US only. Keep an eye on our
legal
Twitter
stuff
this Friday to win. What was it called again? The Secret Lab Titan Evo 2022 House of Dragon gaming chair. Woo!
Yes.
Daniel, so keep an eye out for that. Speaking of that, so we're in the home stretch of House of the Dragon Season 1, which is a little surreal to say because we spent a long time looking forward to this, spent a long time since Game of Thrones wondering if there would be another move, what the next move would be. We finally got it. We saw the bulk of it, and there was one more episode left. Daniel, good people of the channel, people who are watching, what are your hopes and fears for the House of the Dragon season finale entitled The Black Queen?
My, I think the fear is that it will play fast and loose in any ways. I enjoyed the last episode, the Green Council. I think it's gotten a lot of criticism, some fair, some less fair. But I think the fact that those criticisms exist at all kind of shows that it is a little less airtight than some of the other episodes have been. And I hope that we get an airtight finale, because it is going to have one of the biggest moments that in the dance, in the Dance of the Dragons, the moment at Storm's End. I still remember reading it the first time and thinking, oh my God, I hope that they get to do a show of this, and I hope they get to do this scene. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. And my other hope is that if we do get a certain rats and dairy product related scene, it will not be rushed and it will be good. What about you, Dan? What are you most looking forward to or terrified in this finale coming up?
Okay, first I had to point this out. Well, first of all, I agree with Lord Daquan, who is my spirit animal, that I didn't like the last step very much either. In fact, I sort of hated it. If you go look at our Sunday episode, there's just so much I didn't like about it. And it was so sad because I've been enjoying the show very much, like more than I thought I would. I thought they'd done a great job of continuing the legacy of Game of Thrones. I thought they'd done a good job of like distinguishing themselves from the last show, from making it their own. And then this just, I just didn't like it. I didn't, and I've said why. I can say why again if you want, but I have many, many arguments. I hope they win me back. I really do. So, because that thing kind of shattered my confidence a bit, and I'm afraid that I don't need an episode to be airtight. I just need to feel something. Like, I need it to move me. I need it to tap into the secret garden of my heart and plant a seed and water it into a sapling into a mighty tree, and then they can fell it and I'll be broken. That's what I want. I just want to be moved and touched, and not instead go. I mean, I guess anger is an emotion, but it's not the kind of one that I want to feel. Anger at the show for disappointing me is not an emotion I want to feel. I just want it to be really, really good. So looking forward to. Oh, okay. My other thing
fascinating.
To say,
yeah. Oh, it's funny how angry people have gotten over this last episode, because I feel like it shows how invested we all are in this spinoff now, that we weren't sure it was going to be any good 2 months ago. Now here we are. You wouldn't be this mad if it hadn't been so good up until now. But
you're right, Daniel. I wouldn't be this mad at another show for being mediocre and lame. Because when House of the Dragon is mediocre and lame, it hurts me because I like House of the Dragon. And but I want it to be at a high standard. I don't want to treat this as like, it's just a fun ride. Turn your brain off, kids. No, I want a show for adults I can sink my teeth into. I want to say one other thing about your comment. Before we watch it this weekend, I have a hard time believing. You're
like, do you actually think?
Yes. Like, I just have a hard time believing that anybody, but you could, because I know you somewhat. I mean, you're a smart guy. Like, how could they possibly fit that in? I don't see how you could. I'm trying to be in your brain, trying to put in your glasses, and trying to have your ponytail. Okay. And I'm trying to think about how you could conceive of Blood and Cheese being part of it. And I'm drawing a blank, but our brains are not the same brain, and we operate differently. And that's beautiful and wonderful and fine.
Here's how I think they could do it. And we won't say what Blood and Cheese is in case there are any people out there watching who don't know. I'm going to talk about this in vague terms. However, we know that Storm's End is coming. Another big scene from Fire and Blood.
Sure, yes.
Blood and Cheese happens in the book the very next page, like paragraphs after Storm's End. It is an immediate response. Rhaenyra doesn't learn about what happened at Storm's End until Blood and Cheese is already in motion. So the way I see this happening, and again, I'm not married to this. I don't think
that's true.
It is true.
Because Daemon's the whole point is a son for a son.
Yes, but Daemon is the one doing it, not Rhaenyra. Daemon sends her a letter saying a son for a son, and then we find out what he already set in motion.
Gotcha.
So the way I see this happening is Storm, and again, I think it's entirely possible this will be the season 2 premiere big moment. I think we
episode
could.
2.
That is not episode 1 or 2.
2.
But if they were going to do it in the finale, the way I see it happening is Storm's End happens around the 2/3 mark of the episode. It's epic. It's brutal. It's awful. Rhaenyra gets the letter from Daemon because he is going to be gone. I do think he will leave Dragonstone in this episode. Are you serious? You don't think so? He leaves.
Sure, I know he won't.
And Jacaerys leave. Okay.
Not in the show.
Well, I have not read leaks. So we'll see.
It's not leaks, just the trailers and some of the leaks. Like they're not really going by the book. They want to keep the characters in close proximity because they think that's better for the tension, and they can then sell the images of them together. I doubt he'll leave.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. That's fair. The way I see this, how it could work is if Daemon leaves, Rhaenyra finding out about Storm's End the same way, getting a letter from him the same time she's finding out, saying a son for a son. And then we get like a quick montage of how this is all going down because Mysaria has been set up and she's involved in Blood and Cheese. And there's not a whole lot of reason for us to have seen Mysaria in these past few episodes unless they're going to, the only reason to have seen her is to set up that moment. Whether that comes at the beginning of next season or the end of this season. So montage while it's being explained how he contacted her, who these people are, et cetera. And then the montage slows down. We get the shocking scene with Blood and Cheese, maybe 1 or 2 more scenes with Rhaenyra, and then that's the end of the season. That's how I could see it working.
I think
personally
that you are like medically, clinically insane. And I say that with a lot of love. Just, I'm thinking like in next episode, just the whole problem with the season is that they haven't had enough time to sink things in. Like we have to have Rhaenyra learn her father is dead. That could be 20 good minutes by itself. It won't be, but it could be. It should be. We have to have a big war council where they suggest that we got to go to the Eyrie, to Winterfell, to Storm's End. We have to spend time with the kids. We have to spend time with Baela, Rhaena, Jacaerys, Lucerys. We have to have the crown be given over to Rhaenyra and have the crowning ceremony. I think we should see the Greens' reaction. So I doubt we will. And then we have this giant.
No, we're going to see
thing.
Otto. Otto is going to be at Dragonstone. He's going to present terms to Rhaenyra. So we'll see that.
And then that's going to happen. So we have to tease out that. We have to have her present them. We have to have her reject them. Like all of this, unless they like put that down to 10 minutes, and then you want a really long, to me, I want a really long scene at Storm's End. I want teasing out Aemon's fear.
Agree.
Teasing out the feelings of all the characters there. And to just pack, it's not a book. It's not a history book. It's TV. Like you want to let these moments sink in and kind of be built up to, and have the audience go, "Whoa, what? Come on now." It doesn't. I think it would be a big mistake to put another charged moment in the same episode, and to just kind of do a dramatic disservice to both of them. And I hope the writers are thinking of my same way. Sometimes I think about us too, if we were in a writer's room, and how if people give pitches I don't like, I would stand up, I would flip tables, I would tear down whiteboards, I would like take markers and walk all over them. Oh, it'd be so much fun.
I think you're making a good case for why you shouldn't be in a writer's room here, Dan.
That's
got to be able to play nice.
No. Well, I mean, I didn't bring tables here. Clearly, I'm being funny, right?
That's true. So, for the record, I think it's more likely than not that we won't see Blood and Cheese in the season finale. I do think they're going to save it for. I think the season 2 premiere. But I do think it's interesting to think about how close in succession those two scenes are in the book. How they have foreshadowed blood and cheese a little bit this season. Like the rats hanging in the Red Keep. On the one hand, that's like, ooh, this is a metaphor for rats. On the other, it's showing rats infest the Red Keep, and cheese is a rat catcher. So it is also setting that up.
Yeah, but if cheese is a rat catcher, then why are there so many rats?
Because he's too busy learning passageways.
If they really wanted to set it up, here's what they would have done. They would have had cheese as the rat catcher, right? Be a rat catcher, hanging around the first 5 episodes, kind of doing a bad job and getting fired. That would be setting it up. This, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. So, I mean, we will find out on Sunday. I think it's more likely than not it won't happen. I think there's maybe a 5 to 10% chance, maybe 5. Let's say a 5% chance they try to pull off some crazy shit and hit us with a 1-2 punch in the finale instead of just one big moment, because that also is a breaking point in the story.
Yeah.
After Blood and Cheese. So there is a specific shift that happens after that moment. So we can either start season 2 with that moment happening and then the shift, or we can end season 1 with both of them and then the shift.
Which, by the way,
see what happens.
I guess I have 2 points to make quickly. A point and a question for you.
Sure.
The first point is those big breaking points are why part of the reason I hated that Rainey's twist so much, because they're just like, what if we have a third giant point of no return breaking point in here, but nothing really happens in it? Oh, I just hate it. The other question is, does my certainty about how right I am come off as arrogant and unpleasant?
I don't know that I would say it's unpleasant. I think it can be cocky sometimes.
Okay.
When we're delivering the correct takes on things.
It's just,
but it's all in good fun.
It's good in good fun. It's in good fun. And I mean,
yes,
it's hard. I don't mean to be right all the time. I just am. And just people should just kind of learn to.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, some good comments here.
Okay. Well, yeah.
People going back and forth on my Syria. Yeah. I agree with Cassandra. Too much for a 1 hour episode. For a 1 hour episode, I'm all about pacing. Like, a TV show should be paced well. I think, in my opinion, I gotta start saying that. And people not loving the Mysteria scene. I agree. I thought she seemed kind of shoved in. You know, I did the thing where I rewrite shows in my head that I don't like.
Yeah,
I'm not going to share that, but I've done that, and so I now have the right way to do it. But I'll save that for a post. Anyway, it'll be this Sunday. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm a little nervous just because I don't know how I'm going to feel afterwards. I will say this show has emotionally affected me. I'm not sure it's just affected by Game of Thrones, because I'm not sure Game of Thrones ever angered me like this. Even those final Daenerys things, I honestly, like, I get that they should have had more lead up, but I was never angry. I'm confused a little bit, but this show is different. And you know what? Viva la différence. Let's move on.
Interesting. I feel like the end didn't anger me on Game of Thrones. I was surprised by some things. I think the thing that bothered me the most on Game of Thrones was Dorne, actually, because I enjoyed Dorne in the books, and I felt that got the Dorne and the Iron Islands in season 5 got the shortest end of the stick of anything in the entire show, in my opinion.
Were the Iron Islands in season 5?
Oh, were they season 6?
I think they were, because I think season 5 was Theon hanging out and Ramsay at Winterfell. But listen,
there you go.
We broke down the latest episode on Sunday, and we'll bring the new one here. We have all of our things. I'm still not over it. I'm just really passionate about story structure, apparently. I don't know how it happened. It just seemed to have evolved that way. But hey, at least I'm doing this for a living. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, Cassandra asked, I'm thinking, did George R. R. Martin actually okay the Rainey scene? Cassandra, I do not think so. So George R. R. Martin doesn't have veto power. He's not told. They've said that the writer Sarah Hess came up with that idea, and then the showrunner said, okay. Like, again, if I were in there, I would have argued politely but forcefully against that course of
Nice.
action.
Nice.
But unfortunately, I wasn't. So they went ahead with it. George R. R. Martin I is not like deeply involved in this, even though he's given his blessing, which is nice. So he would have thrown a chair. I would not have thrown a chair. What if I want to do this someday? I want to tell all the showrunners out there right now, I am polite, but I will argue from my point of view. I will turn in work promptly. I will turn in high quality work. And I will help you become the #1 show in the world. Here's my business card.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Richard says you would have thrown a gamer chair, and now I need to know before we can move on. Is the Secret Lab Titan Evo 2022 House of the Dragon gaming chair throwable, or is it too heavy?
I would need to work out. You could do it. Just I need to pump up a bunch to really get it done.
Okay.
Because as it stands, I don't think so. I could throw like the top.
What I'm hearing is it's a substantial chair.
And I'm not good at putting things together, but I did manage to like use the Allen wrenches, whatever they provided us, to like slap it together. And it's like, oh, this more or less works. So if I can do it, you can do it. Friday, WiC Twitter.
There we go.
Okay. So moving on to other things involving story structure. So
there's going to be a lot of complaining this episode.
We're going to try to move it on. I mean, I enjoy talking with you. We always kind of get sidetracked a bit, but that's fun. So we'll try to keep it, a little zippier. It's organic. People love relatability. Clicks. Hit subscribe to YouTube. Hit the bell. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is a TV show on Amazon Prime Video that recently wrapped up its first season after 8 episodes. Amazon had a lot riding on this. I think this is the most expensive television show in the history of television ever, bar none. Wrap it up, print it, send it out. Now that we have all 8 episodes to consider, Daniel, was The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power a success, a failure, or other?
I think it depends a lot on what you were looking for in it. I think if you were looking for a compelling show that will carve its place in the annals of history, I don't know that that's The Rings of Power. I think if we're talking about a quiet success for Amazon that is going to drive a lot of traffic for them and a lot of viewers and get them more buzz for a show than they are normally used to, in that sense, it's a success. I think there are things that different people have liked about it. I think it has related to some parts of its fan base well. I watched a really great review about this earlier that talked about how it kind of had things that angered a lot of the hardcore Tolkien fans, like the stranger showing up as Gandalf. I hated the finale. I'll just put this out there. I felt physically pained at 1 or 2 points, mainly around the fan service, really. Having the stranger drop Gandalf lines really bugged me because they didn't make any sense in the moment, and they were just there for the wink at the viewer. So angering hardcore Tolkien fans, and then at the same time including enough stuff to maybe not relate to the total people who don't know anything about Tolkien. So the point of this review, this was Daniel Green's review on YouTube. He's great. Go check him out. He made the point that it hit a specific sliver in the middle of not hardcore fans, not people who don't know anything. It kind of kneecapped its audience a little bit. And I kind of agree with that. Because I think it played pretty fast and loose with Tolkien's lore, which surprised me because they've talked so much about how faithful they are, how important it is. And, one of the showrunners speaks Elvish, which has been used as a marketing thing quite a bit, which is, I feel like the answer is not very easy. It's a trickier answer for me as a viewer. It was not a success. Because I am only going to begrudgingly watch season 2 and hope that it wins me back over because it's my job. But there are a lot of people who liked it. What did you think? And out there, let us know what you think too.
I definitely did not hate it as much as you did. I thought it was fine. It wasn't great.
Okay.
I'll definitely say that. I'm a Tolkien fan, and like I knew they were doing things that just don't make sense. I am never going to trust someone who says that we love the books again. I mean, not to take back to House of the Dragon again, but they said that there too. We love the books. We love the books. And a lot of things were really close. They kept all the names. And then Rhaenys came out from the freaking floor in a dragon, which is a complete change. It utterly makes no sense. It's so bizarre.
We're talking about Rings of Power now, Dan.
I know. Don't worry. I'm going to relate to it. The difference is with House of the Dragon, like they stick pretty close. So like a wild left field, what are you doing? Change sticks out. Here, there was just from the jump, there was almost very little to hold on to. And although I will say, I spoke to some friends who aren't big Tolkien lore nerdists like I am, about what offended me. They were like, that's what you don't like. But I think it's legitimate and valid. I also think it's worse. So my probably biggest, like, this is dumb moment was them saying that the elves need mithril to preserve their lives and to save them or they will all die. Not only is that a silly kind of a changing of the mythology around mithril, but dramatically, I think it's so much weaker because in the books, the elves, the Noldor, want to make these rings because they're prideful, because they're reaching for this perfection in a kind of hubristic way. So they're sort of setting up their own downfall. And in this, it kind of absolves them of any blame for anything because they're only doing it because they have to. Otherwise, the elves would go extinct. And you don't want that, do you? I really don't. That is definitely against Tolkien's ethos. He was very big on kind of classic flaw type tragedy, you know? Like we have a great person who's undone by some fatal flaw, by some, in this case for the elves, it's pride. And just, it's not there, and it just makes everything so much less rich. So
I agree with that.
So you can say you speak Elvish all you like there's just nothing in here that seems Tolkienish. And as just a person who just likes TV, long stretches were kind of dull. The Numenor stuff, I mean, I maintain what I said at the start to the end. I was very bored by Numenor. I just never got on board with it. I did like the Harfoot stuff.
That was one of the few things I enjoyed in the show.
I'm glad.
In the third episode, I think it dragged.
It just never
eventually. They introduced too many characters there.
Yeah, and they never met each other. Like I liked the dwarf stuff. I liked Elrond and the dwarf. What was his name? Durin. And then I like the Harfoot. I like their accents. Although even that was kind of like herky-jerky progression. So just kind of middling in all ways except the way it looked. It's not great, but I didn't loathe it. Even that lore crap I'm complaining about. I mean, like, yeah, you changed everything. But I guess I had low expectations enough that it didn't really bother me that much. I like this episode, and I agree with whoever said, sorry to bring this up again, but Nicole on Facebook says the Rings of Power is actually better than House of the Dragon this past week. I do agree with that. I think the finale was stronger than episode 9.
Yeah,
it was fun.
We're gonna agree.
You had like the Harfoots fighting.
The finale was awful. We can agree to disagree. Man, I hated. Gandalf tells Nori to follow her nose while they're sitting in a fruit-filled orchard. Dan, doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. He has a wizard nose. Like, who's to say what he's smelling? Maybe it's a magic nose. I wasn't offended by the fan service as much too. I mean, it's there. Well, I'm not going to go ahead and presume to know what Nostari thinks, but yeah, it's clearly fan service. It's stupid. It's silly. It's dumb. It's pandering. But I don't know. He's a wizard, and wizards have magic noses. I liked the Harfoots fighting the evil white robe ladies. I liked the Sauron reveal, I guess. I mean, it's, not my Sauron, but whatever. It was important enough. I liked the scenes of Sauron kind of helping out Celebrimbor, who was very clueless, being like, "Oh yeah, that would be a good idea. Oh yeah, but it's not good." Because that's actually closer to what I was expecting from the book, from like book Sauron. Differently, but still, I thought the finale was it diverted me. I was angry at House of the Dragon. I wasn't angry at Lord of the Rings this week.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I think House of the Dragon, I agree with what Cassandra said, which is that the dialogue in House of the Dragon episode 9, despite the ending, she doesn't think Rings of Power can compare with that. And I completely agree with that. I think Galadriel's sudden suspicion of Sauron made barely any sense. It was now we're at the finale and the reveal has to happen. They tried so hard to make us think it was the stranger. They said it literally like every time he was on screen that he was Sauron in this episode. And then Corey saying there's 0 point to the Harfoot story other than nostalgia bait. I do kind of agree with that. Nori and the stranger setting out at the end of the season is what I thought was going to happen in episode 2. So I feel like they just stretched things out so much that I had a hard time with it. I like the beginning of the season a lot more than the end.
Yes, nice. Those are some good points.
But yeah, so this is what I mean though about it's hard to really say. Was the Rings of Power a success? Was it not? I don't think it's the blanket cultural phenomenon everyone's raving about it thing Amazon hoped it would be.
Not close.
For the money they invested. We've talked a lot about this week, but I think the Wheel of Time was much better. I hope Amazon invests more in that than the Rings of Power in the future, because I think they have a much stronger show there with much easier source material to draw from than the Second Age, where they're basically doing Second Age fanfic. Because like Gandalf's not in it in the Second Age at all, so they're kind of just doing their thing.
They're having Sauron, so Rings of Power. It is very fan fiction-y. I just wish that House of the Dragon could have been great all the way through, so it could have been sort of like great. There's like another big, awesome fan show to carry the torch, and I mean it's been very good, but it's had its misses too. I just hope the finale is good, and the Rings of Power. I think Lord DeQuan asked worth the watch. Somebody said don't bother. I mean, clearly we're not that enthusiastic about it. If you find yourself with nothing to do some night, you could do worse. But I'd probably say no. You can skip it.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say for the Rings of Power, I have been vocal about that. As of episode 7, that was my point where I was unable to, in good faith, recommend it to people anymore. I think if you want to watch it to be in on the conversation and to have your eyeballs massaged by beautiful visuals, it's gorgeous to look at. There are some good performances, some cool orc stuff, but overall, I wouldn't recommend it over many of the other shows and movies that have come out this year. So yeah, like Dan said, if you're real bored one night and you just want to see some cool stuff that is vaguely Middle-earthy, then maybe.
As Lord DeQuan asks, don't you think Game of Thrones had already built up the fan base for House of the Dragon to walk in? It absolutely did. Yeah, House of the Dragon has a strong fan base because Game of Thrones was there.
Sure.
But it's got to keep it up. Like it's gotta give people the reasons to stick around. Amazon has all the money, so I wonder for both of these shows if people will stick around for the second seasons. And I think Rings of Power is more dangerous.
I mean, it's not like Amazon. Yeah, it's not like Amazon didn't have that with Rings of Power though. Like Lord of the Rings, like that's a pretty huge fan base to tap into and say, hey, we're gonna make a show for you.
It is, and I mean, and they did. I mean, Lord of the Rings folks showed up for it, but it's not the same. Like I think there was a director that you wrote today. Like House of the Dragon does feel like Game of Thrones season 9 because it's so close.
Yeah,
so much of the same team, the same locations. I don't think they're literally the same sets, but they look like the same sets, or they're a little different.
Yeah,
it's much closer than the several years after The Hobbit, decades after Lord of the Rings movies, where it's just a new take on an old thing. It's more like
Yes, you're totally right.
Yeah. But yeah, they're both out there. They're both doing their thing. Next year we'll have The Wheel of Time. We'll have The Witcher. We'll have The Last of Us. It'll be another eventful year, but we probably won't see either of these programs again until 2024. By the time we're back one more time in the summer
to do the Last Kingdom movie next year.
Probably, yeah, will? Right? Because I think they filmed it. So how long can it be? I'm sure we'll also get more Marvel stuff, more Marvel crap. You decide. Yes. Daniel, did you like the program She-Hulk, which also wrapped up last week? Everything wrapping up.
I'm kind of similarly to the Rings of Power. There are things I liked about She-Hulk and things I didn't.
Sure.
I enjoyed it a lot. I love that it exists. I think it kind of I said this a few weeks back and you had a fun argument about it. I think it strayed into fluff territory a little bit too much, or I don't want to say filler, but like there were things about it that didn't quite hit for me. There are other things about it that I thought were excellent. And I think in terms of so I watched this show with my wife. I think in terms of some of the commentary on like the experience for women in today's society, I think it hit that on the head pretty well for a Marvel thing. I like the finale too. I definitely was like, what the hell am I watching for a minute? I was like, we're doing this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's the most meta interesting finale that a Marvel thing has had in a while. Yeah, nice. So I give it points for bravery for sure.
I could never just drum up that much passion for it. It was always nice.
Yeah.
I mean, my main thing I don't like about it is that it's a sitcom, but I just didn't laugh. And just, that's for me, that's sort of like the whole sentence, put the period on it and leave. If I don't laugh at your jokes, what are we doing here? But that finale was bold. I like that. Right? I give it points. Sorry?
Yeah. That's sitcoms, right? They either click with you or they don't. And I feel like that's kind of almost a side effect some things of the about genre.
It. Sure. And I mean, I liked Tatiana Maslany's performance. I enjoyed some bits. I liked some bits. Like I liked her arc. She was appealing, and I thought the character had some appealing moments. Mostly, though, it was a little disposable. And that finale was very meta, though. It was cute. It was a cool experiment. I just, it was fine. And I'm ready to. What is the next one? The next Marvel thing?
Well, the next movie is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I don't know what the next show is actually off the top of my head.
Is it the one with Amelia Clark?
Secret Invasion. That's got to be one of the next ones. Yeah, that might be. I think that's the only one that's gotten a trailer. I know Ironheart is supposed to come out next year too.
Right.
Yeah, Secret Invasion is early 2023, and then What If season 2, early 2023, and then Echo is coming next summer, and Loki season 2 is coming next summer.
Oh, okay.
And X-Men 97 is coming next fall, and Ironheart is coming next fall. Oh my god. And Agatha, Coven of Chaos is coming next winter. So, everyone, be ready to drown in Marvel until you can't remember your own name. It already started.
Oh yeah, it's been going on for a couple of years now. As Lord DeQuan asked, did we ever watch the old HBO Rome show? I did. I liked it. Rome was a very pivotal moment for HBO. It kind of, without Rome, there's no Game of Thrones and no House of the Dragon. So it's important, and I enjoyed it. Daniel, do you ever see the Rome show? 2 seasons.
I didn't. It's kind of one of those shows I've always meant to watch. I know it had like Ciarán Hinds, who played Mance Rayder.
Oh, yeah. He was Julius Caesar.
Yeah, I've seen him get shanked. So there's no surprise on Rome with how it ends. You know.
And he was shanked by
don't need to worry about spoilers.
Edmure Tully, Tobias Menzies, who played Brutus.
Oh man. Well, that dude, Tobias Menzies is one of those actors. I will watch him in anything. After
He's
seeing
good.
him in Outlander season 1, even though he was awful, I hated him. But man, that dude, he is. It gave me such a respect for his acting, and also made me a little sad for how underutilized he was on Game of Thrones. Have
Yeah,
you seen Outlander season 1?
I still have not watched Outlander, no, although I know. Sorry, Julie, if you're watching, I never got around to it. But you've seen it, so you are our Outlander resident.
I am. I think the first season is watching almost just for his performance alone, because he's the villain and he is just skin crawlingly awful. But yeah, so I have not watched Rome. I probably should. But yeah,
I think there's only
if
2
I can find
seasons.
time between all the Marvel shows.
Exactly. Woohoo. Yeah, Nicole, I know I keep an Outlander. I mean, we'll talk about what we're watching in a minute. By the way, Christian asks, is
Yeah.
Sasha in Ironheart? Who is Sasha? I don't know if you don't know that.
Yeah.
And Phil Parr has an
I'll
interesting.
answer that
Sorry,
one.
go ahead.
So I assume Christian's asking about Sacha Baron Cohen. There are rumors that he is cast as Mephisto in Ironheart. They started swirling like a day ago. We don't know, Christian. But the last time there were rumors was about Harrison Ford, and we found out like a week later that they were true. So
Isn't that
I am
cool?
thinking, yeah, I think
Harrison
that could
Ford.
be true, but we don't know for sure yet.
Probably. Harrison
Probably.
Ford, man. That pissed our lightning round, but still, that's a pretty big one. That's a big get.
Yeah.
The man is
Yeah.
a living legend.
It is a big get.
How old is that guy? God. And Phil has a comment. Interesting. Shouldn't the House of the Dragon sets be the same? It's supposed to be the same location. I honestly was impressed at how much the details of the sets differed. And that in Game of Thrones, Robert obviously attempted to eliminate anything Targaryen in anger over his loss of Lyanna, which I did like. In House of the Dragon, you see dragon symbology everywhere. Game of Thrones, it's all gone with the exception of the dragon skulls in the lower levels. Yeah, Phil, I do like the set design a lot. What I mean when I say I'm not sure if the sets are the same, I mean that I don't know if they're literally using the same sets they used on Game of Thrones. Like, I don't know if those things were. Probably not, just because of the way that productions work. They gotta tear things down. You got to give the Union crews, and they built the whole new Red Keep set. It's I mean, it's not like literally the same fake walls that Lena Headey once walked up and down, but it's obviously made to look a lot like them. And good.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right, Cassandra. They did build a whole Red Keep, which if this show makes me happy again with the finale, they should auction off like a sleepover in the Red Keep set. I would do that. Like, because that thing is huge.
Yeah.
You can like walk up and down that thing. That thing is just everywhere. They really make good use of that. That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
It's like when you were in grade school, did you ever like spend the night at we spent the night at the Shed Aquarium in Chicago. We got little shirts that said "Sleep with."
I was secluded. So they built new sets, but they did film King's Landing in the same city, I believe. Caceres, which is holding Caceres, the City of Dragons event. It's Europe's largest Game of Thrones event. One of our journalists, Federica Bocco, will be there. You guys, if you're in Europe, go, because I am sad and I wish I could go to Spain and go to that, but I have to tell you how awesome the House of the Dragon finale is this weekend. So another year.
Finally, before we move on to our next bit, I guess we can't. Lord DeQuan asked, did either of us watch the last 2 eps of Andor? Seems like a good reason to go into our next section. What are we watching? I watched the ep of Andor last week. I would have watched it today, but for the morning I had, I couldn't fit it in. Which is true. I fully wanted to watch it today, but then I had this crazy morning where I had the bike and the bike. You know it. I lost an hour. It's just really, really, really solid. Are you caught up, Daniel?
I'm not caught up. I've only seen the first 3 episodes. I loved them. I enjoyed them a lot. I'm excited to get caught up. There's just so much TV. And I've been rewatching House of the Dragon a lot this week. So
Oh yeah,
I didn't get a
preparation,
chance.
smart. My favorite
Yeah,
character from Andor
preparations.
is Cyril, who's like the really kind of uptight imperial corporate officer. You know what I'm talking about? The
Oh,
one who like
yeah,
got
yeah.
his
Yes. He's
uniform
great character.
retailored and is like weirdly kind of obsessed and humorless
Mhm.
and never smiles or laughs. And he's just like this little sad boy that you just want to
Yeah.
hug, but he wouldn't like it because he's all don't touch me. I am an instrument of the empire, and I don't want love, only duty. Oh, he's so precious.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun because he's just so pathetic. Uh, so I'm really enjoying him. And the
Yeah.
show in general is very, very solid. And I hear the next one's great, but I haven't watched it yet because that's the morning I had. I couldn't have time. But tonight, hopefully, I'll get to it. Anything you watching, Daniel?
Yeah. Again, I've mainly been watching House of the Dragon this week. I've been getting and Rings of
Cool.
Power. Obviously, the Rings of Power finale happened, so I watched that. Yeah, House of the Dragon. I was really struck. So last night I rewatched The Green Council, and then I rewatched the premiere. And
Damn.
man, it is going to be just. I think Game of Thrones. It's interesting because that's like an opening chapter. Like there's this big question of, is this season better than season 1 of Game of Thrones? Blah, blah, blah.
No.
They're so different, but I feel like House of the Dragon is telling a more complete story with its first season. Because like you go back and rewatch the early episodes and it just hits you in the heart in a different way because Rhaenyra is a little kid. Viserys is not old and decrepit. Even Otto Hightower's got a different hairdo, which I didn't notice until I rewatched.
Oh, I didn't notice that either. Good.
Yeah. Snuck under the radar, but he's got different hair in the early episodes. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been watching because here we are, it's finale week.
Yes.
You, however, you've been watching something else, right?
Yeah. As Nicole says, watching Interview with the Vampire, which has been consistently good. And Nicole, I couldn't agree more. This Interview with the Vampire show on AMC, it is straight hotness. It's really good. Like,
that's awesome.
Have you been watching it at all?
I haven't checked it out yet, but it's on my list. I recommend it. Anne Rice. I'll get there.
Like, they cast Jacob Anderson as Louis, who is at first folk were like, oh well, you're casting a black actor as Brad Pitt and they'll change everything. Okay, they've done such a good job. At first I was kind of concerned that they were relocating things to like, early 20th century, not 100 years before, but they did their research. Like, they located in the French Quarter of New Orleans, and they really play into the idea that Louis is this Creole black man, Jacob Anderson, who's been turned into a vampire, and how that affects like his dealings with the local kind of council people and the businessmen, and how he kind of has to kind of, even though he's basically like a god at this point who can like step in the next wherever he wants, he still has to like kind of kowtow because of the system. And it's just really, really believable. And his relationship with Lestat, played by Sam Reed, is, I mean, it's every bit as messed up as it is in the book and in the old movie, but they've laid it. It doesn't feel like just an adaptation just to cash in. Like, they have a vision here, and it's an interesting vision. And I've been really soaking it up. I've really been liking that a lot.
Cool.
That I like how they kind of cut back and forth between the ye olden times and the actual interview is a big part of it, where they're in modern times, and the journalist, who is very funny on his own and kind of like laconic and sarcastic, is a character. And the way Louis evolved and how he's doing things now when it comes to what he's doing before, it's all really working for me. So I'm impressed by that. They are already calling it the Immortal Universe, so just easy tiger. But this first volley is definitely quality so far. I've seen 3 episodes that are out.
Cool. I feel like the Immortal Universe thing, it bothered me more if they were doing long-term plans, but I almost feel like I can kind of forgive them for it, knowing that the Mayfair Witches is coming like next February or January.
It's very quick.
That's soon enough that it's like, okay, you need to define this thing because you're going for it. And it sounds like maybe that's not a bad idea. AMC is kind of in spin-off central, thinking about The Walking Dead. This doesn't feel too surprising that they're going all in on Anne Rice like this.
I mean, it's so high quality. I always worry that you dilute yourself, which I by the way, I think Marvel is a good example of, like, it does feel diluted at this point. Agreed. A little bit, even the good stuff. But I've just been very impressed with that, and I hope they kill it the rest of the time, and I think they will. Oh, it's been so good so far. Before we go on to our final thing, Good Play has some great comments over on the YouTube. Good Play feels my anger, thank you, but I think they did a brilliant job with some stumbles about House of the Dragon. But overall, it is excellent, and I never felt invested in a TV show since Game of Thrones, but House of the Dragon. And Good Play, I do feel you. I am invested in House of the Dragon. That is, I mean, I think you're right, Daniel. That's why I'm so put off by these latest stumbles, because the show had me, and I don't like, I don't like when a loved one jerks me around. And that's what they've become. Like the Rings of Power stumbles, I'm like, whatever. But House of the Dragon takes a tumble in my eyes anyway, and it hurts. I feel it. I'm invested in this stuff, which is great. And I want to be invested again, so I am going to be optimistic heading into the finale. Why not?
Good.
Rock my world.
I think that's the right play. I think the outcry around episode 9 has been a little outsized because, let's be charitable here, there's one episode of an otherwise great show that has had some snafus, some controversial moments, but I don't think that's enough to write it off or cry for pillorying writers and the way that has been happening online. So I think the finale, I'm hopeful that it will be good. It's a very seasoned director. It's Greg Gaetanis, who did episode 2, The Rogue Prince. Ryan Condal's writing it. So I'm hopeful.
You've got to have a good script, though. I mean, there's some saying in filmmaking, maybe Richard knows it, it's that, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, even a mediocre director can have a good movie out of a good script, but even a great director can't take a bad script and make it a good movie. Like, it's just not possible.
Oof.
So I'm sure Greg Gaetanis is great, but so is Claire Kilner. I loved her work episode 5 too, and I didn't like episode 9 at all. So it's got to be the script. It's TV. Just movies are a little different because, like, you can like take Eraserhead, which is like 12 pages long, and just David Lynch can just go like, "What if we had a baby dance on the stage?" And just it'll be an epic work. But a TV show, you gotta have a good script, or it's not going to work. So cross
that's
fingers.
Fair. Can't argue it. And again, it's Condal, so I'm hopeful. We'll see. One other show I want to throw out there that I forgot I'd started watching, but I have, is Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Oh yeah,
which is an anime. It's really good. It's definitely, if you have played the Cyberpunk 2077 video game, there are lots of little nods. It totally feels like that same world, which is cool. Like, they use some of the same sound effects and stuff, but the actual like artsiness of the show kind of surprised me. Like the way it lingers on different. So I'm enjoying it a lot. I'll definitely be finishing it. I'm like 3 episodes in. They're like 24 minutes. They're very short, very bloody. Nice.
That's a Netflix show, right?
Yes. Yep. Netflix has had a pretty good run with their animated stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like Warner
Arcane was a big hit.
Yep. Castlevania was awesome too. I loved the first, especially the first season, but the first couple seasons.
I loved that first season. Then it kind of got weirdly boring for a show about whipping vampires to death. That one surprised me. But
first season was absolutely the best.
Oh, so good. It was so like kind of gonzo, wild, just out of this world, crazy heavy metal. And then how could that whatever? It's not important. Should we move on to our final segment, the world famous WiC News Lightning Round?
Yeah, let's do it. Let us lightning.
All right. Where we take a bunch of stories we didn't have time to get to in the main body of the show and give our 20-second reactions. I did not order these, so we're going to play it by ear, and I think we're going to go to the right ones. Okay. Here is a good first one for either of us. I'll just ask it of you. Daniel, they changed on House of the Dragon. No. Okay, now I'll ask you. On House of the Dragon, they changed the opening credits again for episode 9. And in this case, they had a symbol for Maelor Targaryen, who is the son, the younger son of Aegon and Helena. And they firmed it up so you really could see 4 bloodlines coming from Alicent, suggesting that Daeron Targaryen is really a thing, even though we haven't heard either of these folk mentioned yet. Thoughts?
I think that's cool. It's nice to get, the little bit of confirmation that Daeron and Maelor are around, because those are 2 important characters in their own ways. So I've enjoyed how the opening credits have evolved over the course of the show, even though I am not still crazy about the fact that they've used the Game of Thrones theme song. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. Okay, so Dan, I know you are awaiting this news with bated breath. Blade, Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, and Avengers Secret Wars have all been delayed. How will you survive until you get to see them?
I'll be fine. I'm just so I think they delayed Blade because the director left and they had to find a new person, and that forced everything else to get pushed back some. So that's what happened. I mean, Marvel will be fine. Of those, I'm looking forward to any of them. Blade, I mean, like a little bit for each one. Let Blade, Deadpool 3. That sounds fun. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't want to talk about Barbarella, huh? Okay.
I didn't. I know nothing about Barbarella.
Daniel, story 3. Brendan Fraser is open to doing a 4th Mummy movie. He doesn't think the Tom Cruise one was fun enough.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser is getting a ton of Oscar buzz right now for his new movie, The Whale. He got asked if he would do a 4th Mummy, and he basically said, if it was a good enough movie, I would be open to it. And then he said there's a balance with those movies between fun and adventure and horror, and he didn't think the Tom Cruise one nailed it, and that's why it flopped. And he knows how hard it is. Okay, so Dan, I didn't want to talk about this because I just knew you were the person who would best serve this story to our listeners. So Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney is set to headline a new Barbarella remake. What's that?
Barbarella is a really weird cult sci-fi film from the 60s about, and I quote from the trailer, a 5-star double-rated astronavigatrix Earth girl, Oscar winner Jane Fonda, kind of giving these booby outfits and going from planet to planet, having weird adventures. It's a very specific kind of camp, and I'll be curious in a remake. Sure, that's cool. That's a hard one to get right. Jane Fonda, perfect, as you say, Christian. Yeah, classic, weird but classic. Here we go. Oh, this is a good one. Daniel. Game of Thrones veteran Indira Varma will play the Empress of the frickin' universe in the upcoming HBO Max Dune spinoff TV series, Dune: The Sisterhood.
Yeah, so Dune: The Sisterhood, they've been announcing some castings for that. Indira Varma is the Empress. She's married to Emperor Carino. I assume the first, an old one.
Maybe, yeah. Oh no. Oh dear. Free win, no timer. Okay. I cannot hear what Daniel is saying. Daniel? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. End it.
Looks like everything.
Oh,
did everything poop the bed, or is it just me?
Well, you're back. I can hear you. You are back. Should we just move on? Because we're almost done. No. Okay, everybody. It looks like we might have to cut things off a little bit earlier. But in case you were wondering, Daniel, are you back?
I'm back.
You're
I don't know
back.
what happened there.
Computers. I don't get them. You don't get them. Nobody gets them. I don't think anybody gets computers.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on with the next one and keep this rolling because we're almost finished. Go ahead and ask me the
Probably
next
not.
one.
Okay. Ugh. Okay, so we mentioned this earlier, but Harrison Ford, he's replacing William Hurt as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU. It is official. How do you feel?
It's pretty big. I mean, look, William Hurt, I like a lot. The actor passed the other year. If you're gonna replace him with somebody, Harrison Ford, Han Solo, Indiana Jones could play Red Hulk in the MCU. That would be kind of wild. But yeah. I mean, if what you want is name recognition, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a comment I want to talk about so bad. Maybe we can hit it after the lightning round.
Really fast because we're past time. Okay, Daniel, and you're the person,
I know.
And you're the person to do this. This upcoming 7th season of Outlander is bringing back Graham McTavish and other actors, some of whom have passed.
Yeah, Outlander, I mean, like you said, Graham McTavish is coming back. He's played a couple of characters on Outlander. He was one of, I believe, Jamie's relatives earlier. It's been a while since I watched. And then he played a descendant of that character because Outlander is all about time travel. So yeah, I think this is exciting. You never know what they're going to do on that show.
All right, guys, we're going to end a little early because of difficulties. Thank you so much for watching. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Join us on this Sunday to recap House of the Dragon after the episode. We're on Google Play, iTunes. Subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Episode 9 was terrible, and I hope the finale is better. God bless you all. Good night. Adios.